Today on Triple F, we are going to continue our mini-series on couples and money. This is part 2. I hope you're ready.
Hey, welcome back. It's Triple F, week 7. Man.
Most exciting time of the week.
Whew. Man, I don't know if they can even handle it. I mean, look at them out there. They're just going crazy. You got like people jumping up and down, like doing the back and forth. It's like, woo, we can see you out there, all 34 of you.
I think that's you doing that.
Yeah. Well, I when I'm watching us, because I'm one of the views. You're one of the views. So that's 2 views. And then we have Jordan. He's actually sitting right here. We actually have a live audience.
Live audience. First time we've gone live with the show.
Yep. And so whenever the sign goes applause, Jordan, guess what you have to do? That's right. Good job, Jordan. So anyway, so we got live audience. We handle the views. We've got people dancing. I don't know. I think we got a pretty good setup here.
Yeah.
What's new for you?
Well, not much. I've been trying to think about how we top last week's podcast. Last week was Couples and Money Part 1. Today is Couples and Money Part 2.
Oh, that makes total sense.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Makes total sense. And sense is financial, by the way.
And if you missed last week's podcast, watch that right before you watch this one, or vice versa. Just watch them, because they do go together. And if you're a couple, you're married, you have finances, this is for you. And there's a lot of good information we're going to be covering today. I mean, a lot of hot topics. So, but last week, if you watched the podcast last week, we talked about why does finances matter? This is a test. Why do finances matter? Because it's what? The number one.
Oh, cause of divorce.
That's right. And money stress in couples' relationships. And so you have to talk about it as a couple. You're either going to talk about it in a proactive way or in a reactive way. We want everybody to talk about it in a proactive way, in a planning way, in a loving way. And so, because it can build a lot of trust amongst couples. We talked about money personalities. Tyron informed us that his wife's a saver.
Yes.
And that she's no fun.
Yeah, she could be a little boring in that regard. But that's good for us.
And then we figured out Tyron's a spender.
Yes, I am the fun one. Applause sign.
And then we have avoiders, risk takers, and security seekers. And so somebody you can identify with one of those. We talked about all those different types of money personalities and why it's important to know which one you're living with and which one you're sharing finances with. And so it's something to think about. We also talked about financial transparency a little bit, about just knowing everything as a couple, knowing all the debts. That way there's no financial infidelity going on anywhere. And we also talked about joint versus separate accounts. And in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of experts in the field, joint accounts are usually the way to go, but don't break up over it. So, but it is the way to go. And we'll hit on that a little bit more today, and talk about how it's most useful to have a joint account when you're trying to build goals together and build wealth together. Yep. So today, what are we going to do? Before we get started, we're going to have everybody, first of all, find that like and subscribe button. And we want you to subscribe to the video. We are looking for subscribers. And remember, if we get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to attempt to try to get Travis and Taylor on the phone and see if I can get them in for the next podcast to get us up to maybe 1,000.
And you'll take off your shirt and show us the guns.
Yeah. But we need you to subscribe, like it. That gets the video out to other couples and other people that need the video and could really use the video. So jumping into today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about, first of all, creating shared financial goals.
Applause.
Shared financial goals. So what are some of the shared financial goals that couples may have together? One's an emergency fund. We talked about that, how that's important. If you're ever going to start off a credit card, you have to have an emergency fund, emergency savings to make those big purchases. Paying off debt, probably the most important of the goals you can have is a agreed upon plan to pay off debt. Release that income that goes to third-party creditors to where you can start investing and buying the things that you want in life. Buying a house, paying off a house, that's a goal that you and Sarah have, I know.
Yep.
Travel or vacation fund. It's always important to try to pay for the travel or the vacation as you go on it. You don't want to go to the beach in the summer and be paying it off to Christmas. There's other things that start happening around Christmas that require money. So leave the beach where it's at. Don't bring it home with you in the form of payments. And so that takes some planning to do. Retirement funding. Both spouses, if they're working, they need to be contributing to the retirement funding. Kids' education. It's a huge expense. I calculated one time it can cost between a kid graduating from high school and getting all the way through college and married. I mean, you may be talking about $250,000 in like a 4 to 6 year period. So,
Do you want to hear a cool little thing about
Sure.
tuition?
Sure.
So one thing that my daughter did, and this is a cool little trick if you can convince your child to do this when they go to school. She's been an RA all the way through up to her senior year.
Wow.
And guess what that means as a resident assistant? She has her tuition paid for and her room and board paid for.
That's a plan.
Isn't that crazy?
That is.
Whew, man, that's the way to go.
That
Get her
is
to
the
be
way
an
to
RA.
go. That is the way to go. Is that the way it is at most colleges, you think? Or
Well, you'd have to check and see if that's really the case. But in her case, she's basically made it through nearly her entire master's program, her undergrad and her master's, without any debt at all. And she's been able to do it, not because of her parents, but because she's been working as an RA. And it's really just a shift that takes place 2 or 3 times a week. And then, yeah,
very nice.
not a bad idea. Try it.
So when you're creating goals with your partner, one exercise I have people do when I meet with them is I'll have each partner write down 3 or 4 goals, long-term, short-term goals, and then compare them. And you'd be surprised about half of them are about the same goal. And you can tell there are things that people have talked about, the couples have talked about, but 2 or 3 of them are a lot of times different goals. And so she may have one goal, he may have a totally different goal.
You mean like
and
a
so,
car and a Birkin?
A car versus, So just totally different objectives. And so to reach all of those, you really need to agree on what your priorities are and planning is as a couple. And
Does
and how you can
Jordan, do you know what a Birkin is?
Some type of purse, right?
Yeah, good job, man. That's impressive. Ooh. Yeah, really expensive.
and he's single. He's only 15. He
How do
didn't
you know
have a
that?
wife yet.
I didn't even know that till like a few years ago.
Now, you said Birkin last time. I had to ask my wife, what is a Birkin?
Did she know?
Yeah, she knew.
Okay.
She doesn't have one.
Man, they're pretty expensive. I mean, you could be upwards of 15 to 20 grand.
That'd be one of our shared
entry
financial
level.
goals to buy one of those.
Hey, you know you made it if your wife's walking around with a Birkin.
So anyway, so when you're planning, we always talk about the big B word. You know what the B word is?
I'm afraid to say it.
Go ahead.
Dude, you got Jordan here.
Budget.
Oh, so okay. Whew.
Budget.
Man, I was gonna tell Jordan to cover his ears or something.
It is such a bad word when you're counseling couples to bring up budget.
That is a tough one.
One of the two don't like the word. So what I did is I made an adjustment some years ago. Instead of a budget, I call it a cash flow plan. That sounds a lot more friendly.
That just goes right over most people's heads. Okay, let's do it. Whatever that
or
is.
a cash spending plan. That way you get the spenders on board.
Oh yeah, you just got to rearrange the lingo and then all
So
of a
a
sudden
cash, we'll call it a cash spending plan instead of a budget sometime. And so, it's going to be one of those things that couples have to do at some point, especially, if you're struggling to make monthly payments, make your bills, if you're planning for something, a budget or a cash spending plan
Birkin.
is like one of the primary tools you have to do, because unless you know where your money's going, it's going to go and you're never going to know what happened. So it takes you from not having, from having too much month left at the end of the money to having enough money for the entire month. And so, you really have to do it. And so what I believe in for budgeting is I believe in a very simple budgeting framework, a very simple plan. I used to, this one couple came in one time, he was an engineer and she stayed at home. And he had this budgeting worksheet that only an engineer would have. This thing had macros in it and links and all this stuff. And she didn't even have a clue where to start with this. It was some engineering spreadsheet, but he had it all. He could tell you exactly how much they were going to spend on what, but she had no idea how to use it, had no idea what was in it. And so we had to scrap that. We got a pretty simple little Excel spreadsheet. I mean, you can do this on a notebook paper. You can do it whatever, but it's got to be simple enough that both parties can get through the budget and know what's in it. Because you can have the saver do the budget because they're going to probably know and be organized enough to put a good budget together, but the spender's got to buy into it, or the other person's got to buy into it. But it has to be simple enough and understandable enough to get the buy-in for it to work. If both parties don't buy into the budget, it's never going to be successful. And so the way we started is what's called zero-based budgeting. We just start with a clean sheet of paper, put our income down, put all of our expense categories underneath it, and we just spend our income and our paycheck before the period begins. So if you get paid on the 30th of one month, our spending we spend for the next 2 weeks or month or however long it is between paychecks, and we just spend all that money all the way down. And the last category, if we have anything left over, is savings. And so it's a very simple process: income, and then we just list out. We spend that money on paper, on purpose, before the month begins.
Before you ever do it.
Before you ever do it. And to make it more interesting and to get both people to buy in, I always have the saver or the more nerdy person do the budget, and then the other person has to come to the budget meeting and they have to make a change to it. They have to change something on the budget. So they'll look at the budget. There will be all the categories of spend. They have to make some change on it. They have to change a spend. They have to change something on the budget, increase groceries, decrease something else. But at the end of the day, the expenses can't be more than the income. So it's living within your means.
Do you think Jordan knows what that means if your expenses are more than your income?
His budget's pretty easy right now. So teenagers have pretty easy budgets.
What do you think happens when your expenses are more than your income?
You go into debt.
Yeah,
Go into debt.
Right, you're broke.
So it's even something a ninth grader knows. And so if you're married and you're in your 20s and 30s, you should already know all this stuff. Okay?
Yep, no excuses.
And so to even make it more interesting, what you do is you set the budget meeting up. Let's just picture this now. If you kind of close your eyes, and we'll just picture this. It's good. We don't do the budget when mom or dad's come home from work. We don't do it when somebody's cooking dinner. We don't do it when the kids are running around waiting for bath time. We wait until everybody's asleep. We set up one night a week or one night every 2 weeks. We call it a date night, a monthly budget date night.
Wow.
We get the wine or your favorite beverage. We have it chilled.
You're gonna need alcohol.
We get it. We have it chilled. You know, we have maybe an hors d'oeuvre platter or something like that, and we sit around the table, or we sit around, you know, in the living room. Everybody's relaxed. The kids are in bed.
Wait for the fireworks. You know, what I was thinking was that you're gonna really wait until all the kids are asleep just so that they'll be woken up with all the yelling at each other.
Well, that can happen too.
Man.
That can happen too. And you sit there in a calm way, and you just talk about the budget, and you just talk about what your goals are and what the spending is going to look like over the next 2 weeks. Easy enough.
Easy peasy. Better hope you get along.
Oh yeah. And so inevitably you'll come up with conflicts. And so how do we handle conflicts? How do we handle conflicts? We have to set rules for these healthy money talks. There's no blaming language. I can't tell you how many times we get these budget talks and he's blaming her, she's blaming him. You know, there's no blaming, and we forget the past.
It's just numbers. It doesn't.
It's just numbers.
It doesn't have feelings.
We don't talk about the past. We don't talk about, well, last month you did this, or last week you did this, or a year ago you were doing this. We don't talk about any of that. We don't dwell on the past because that money's spent. It's out the door. It has nothing to do with the next 2 weeks or the next month. So we forget all spending sins of the past, and we start fresh and new every pay period because all we can affect is the next pay period. We use the I feel language. This is the one place where you can use I feel because feelings do matter in money talks. Okay, a lot of times.
So emotional.
Yeah,
it's just numbers, but man, it's emotional for some
emotional. And so feelings need to be known. If someone's really stewing over a particular spending category, you know, let the other person know that in a loving way, and let's talk about it. If they start getting emotional, we take breaks. Okay, we go refresh our wine glasses. We get another hors d'oeuvre. We go to the bathroom, whatever it takes, but we just take a break. We don't want things to get emotional. We don't want budget meetings to turn into divorce proceedings. and so we just take a break, and then we come back, we focus on solutions. You know, every issue can be solved. Okay, this is just money. It's not life or death. Every issue can be resolved with two, you know, people that have an interest in actually building wealth together.
But sometimes, you know, you've got the reason why I can get pretty emotional is because the obvious ones is you've got one that wants something, the other one doesn't agree with it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can have challenging scenarios where you both want to do something, but you just don't see a path forward to be able to do it. And a lot of times that can be related to our children. So since we have a young adult here in Jordan, imagine Jordan is, you know, really wants to get a coach for basketball, right? And one-on-one coach. But the coach costs, you know, let's say $1,000 a month. And somehow you want to try to provide that for your your young man that is your son, and but you're just looking at it going, man, we just cannot make it work. And they're like, well, what if we reduce this, and what if we reduce that? As long as you do look at it like it's a problem to solve, then you can work together to try to find those solutions. But there are times where it just becomes difficult to find those solutions, and you feel like, we can't do something that we really want to.
Yeah.
And those are tough decisions to make, where you're like, I don't know that we can actually give Jordan, this coach at this time. And that's tough on parents to not be able to have the means to be able to do something like that.
It is, and I get in that a lot with vacations. Everybody wants to take a vacation, and it's going to cost $8,000 or $10,000. How do we get that money in the next 6 or 8 months? So what I do is I challenge people. I tell them, I say, suppose your child's life is on the line. They need a life-saving emergency procedure, and it's going to cost $10,000, and they have to have it in 6 months. Could you save the $10,000 up for that life-saving procedure? Probably so. You could probably figure out things to cut back, second job, whatever, and work harder, work overtime. But there's a way you could scrape together that money with the right amount of focus and attention
And motivation.
A lot of same, like we talked about with fitness, a lot of motivation is what a lot of it is. And so those are solutions, those are choices we make. What you'll find out when you do the budget is all of those expense decisions, there's a few of them that are fixed and mandatory, mortgage, groceries, things like that. But there's a lot of discretionary in there that you have, and where does that go? And so you have to prioritize the discretionary spend in your budget as to what you want to spend that money on, and what is a vacation 6 months from now more fun and more important than things that we're spending money on today. And so that's usually the kind of discussions that we have. But with the right motivation, the right incentive, you can save money. You can put together money to pay for stuff, because the more you put on credit cards and the more you don't pay off, it's just a losing game. You just go down this tunnel, and at some point you get to where there's just no more credit to be had, and now you're just.
That's where you're like calling up Dave Ramsey, and you're on the show,
Exactly,
and they're just going, "What in the world? How did you get here?
How stupid were you?
How stupid could you be?"
That's exactly right. So coming back to actually what you were talking about, there are some questions you can ask when you do this budget. Can we afford the monthly payment? Can we afford this expense that we have on our budget that's not really necessary? Does it fit our shared goals? What's the worst case scenario if we don't spend something? So if we don't spend, this $100 in this area, what's the worst that's going to happen? They shut our cable off. That may be a good thing, right? Are we both comfortable with the expense? Because it's all a negotiation. It's all part of a plan, because you're a couple. If you're going on vacation, it's probably be together. If you do things, experiences are probably going to be together. So are we both comfortable with this expenditure? Are we both interested in it? So you have to ask those questions as you go through this, and you need to come up with those decisions as a couple. And the budget meeting, or the cash, expense meeting or cash spending meeting is a good place to do that. But it's got to be a calm environment. Don't approach your husband or spouse with a budget while they're watching a football game on Sunday afternoon, or while the other person's trying to do something that they're really interested in, because those meetings will go nowhere. And so make sure that things are calm, everybody's engaged, and you have these discussions in a calm way, because it can get emotional very quickly, as money stuff does for many strange reasons, but it does. So what are some of the common mistakes that couples make? And these are things that I've actually uncovered during a lot of the meetings I've had with couples. Hiding purchases. People are buying stuff and not telling the other one about it. They weren't agreeing on it. Ignoring debt. I've had people come and we put debt on the table that one spouse doesn't even realize all the accounts that the other spouse has, credit card wise, account wise. No budget. They don't know where to start. What you'll find out is when you do a budget, or when you do a cash flow plan, you're going to find money you didn't realize you had. You're gonna at the end of that, you're going to think, well, it all makes sense. Where were we going wrong? And so unless you're tracking it and keeping up with it, you're not going to know. If everything's just all over the place, you're going to have no clue where all the money's at, and even how much money you have. There's different goals. There's and then the biggest one probably is letting one partner control everything with no input from the other partner. If you just let one person put the budget together, they're going to be going along. They'll be putting all their priorities in there. They won't have your priorities in there. And so you've got to be engaged so that you have your input and that and that it's a combined budget because you're both living out of the same paycheck if you're in a joint account. So that's pretty good on the on the budget part. So but all this leads, where does all this lead? It leads to building wealth together.
Going on vacation.
Going on vacation. Fully funded emergency fund, 3 to 6 months.
Being
Some
like
good
David.
goals, right? 3 to 6 months. Emergency fund. Pay off all your consumer debt, credit cards, student loans, invest for retirement, and build your long-term investments. And mostly you want to celebrate milestones together. We're going to celebrate when we have our 100th subscriber.
Man,
You're
yes.
going to take me out to dinner.
No, you're just going to take your shirt off in front of everybody.
Oh, man.
That's why.
That's not a celebration.
You could cut your hair, like shave your head off. We could, not your head.
Maybe
your hair.
can I get a tattoo?
Get a tattoo.
100 subscribers?
No, you can get triple F right here.
I could do that. But we're going to celebrate milestones together. I mean, is there a celebration for the 28th subscriber that we have?
Do we know who the 28th subscriber was?
I don't. Would you please comment below if you were the 28th subscriber?
Yeah,
So
we'll give you a
know who
shout
were.
out.
That we'll give you a shout
Jordan,
out.
what number were you?
Like number 1 through 3.
Yeah, so he was top 3. He was one of the top 3.
In the top 3.
Yeah.
You're gonna be our first guest on the show.
But you've learned something as a teenager. I mean, he tells me all the time. He's learned the tax laws. He's learned all kinds of stuff from the.
He's gonna be a wealthy man.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a podcast for everybody.
You should tell all your friends.
So some of my final thoughts on the whole couples and money thing, it doesn't ruin relationships. So when you talk about money, it doesn't ruin your relationship normally, but silence does ruin your relationship. If one person's going crazy over here and the other person's trying to save, it can really, and you don't talk about it, it can really ruin your relationship. A strong financial partnership is a strong life partnership. And so you just have to respect each other's opinion about money, listen to each other, work this thing as a team. And if you do that, I mean, you can really thrive. You can really thrive in your financially as a couple. You'll retire with dignity, and I mean, finance is just so important. Man, in a married situation with family, it just kind of controls everything and weaves through everything. So,
yeah. Well, you're leaving on vacation soon, right?
I am.
When do you head?
It was in our budget, vacation budget.
That's what I'm
going to
saying.
Italy in about a month. So.
See, and how many vacations now that you're retired do you go on a year?
We try and do 1 or 2 big vacations, depending on what we can afford, depending on how the stock market's doing. No, I'm just kidding. We actually plan 1 or 2, and then we do. I just got back from a beach vacation this past week for a week, so we try and do 2 or 3 smaller deals, but we try to do at least 1, but probably 2, like big vacations. I mean, we've been. Again, I've mentioned before, we never traveled much at all until we retired. Once we retired, we've done most of our traveling.
Got to take advantage of all that wealth. So, okay, last question. Where's your favorite place to go on vacation to?
So far, from where I've been, I thought Switzerland was great.
Oh, yeah, beautiful
So
mountains.
Switzerland was beautiful. Went to some of the ski resorts, and it was a beautiful country. We took a bus tour through there on a nice big bus and made a lot of stops along the way. But Zermatt, Switzerland, if you're a skier, Zermatt's probably one of the pinnacle places to go skiing. I'm not a skier, but it was fun watching people ski. And we went up the mountain. It was all snowy. I mean, we took it in the summer, but it was all snowy up there. But Zermatt, Switzerland is a great place if you're a skier.
Beautiful area.
So that's our vacation moment here on our podcast.
What about Jordan? Jordan, your favorite place to go? Come on, we're closing down. We got to tell us.
Yellowstone National Park.
Yellowstone.
Yeah. We all took a Yellowstone trip as a whole family here a couple of years ago, and that was fun.
Yeah.
Yellowstone, Grand Teton, we went for about 7 days, had a lot of fun, and would definitely recommend that vacation as a family. And most people know about it, but I tell you, it's huge. Yellowstone's about the biggest park you're ever going to see. So.
Wow. Cool. All right. Jordan, thank you for joining us. Thank you for providing our applause. David, as always, man, you did great.
Yep.
Good job on the finances.
And hopefully you've learned something as a couple out there. Please comment below if you have any suggestions for budgeting or budget meetings. If you've had budget meetings, things that work, don't work, any comments are appreciated, and we love to read them and we'll respond.
Yep.
So,
all right. Cool, man.
very good. We'll see you next
All right.
time on
See
Triple
ya.
F.
Bye-bye, guys.